we have friends from Roasters Podcast. We have Josh here from Roasters Podcast.
How's it
And
going?
so you're in South Carolina, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
So South Carolina. So Josh is an avid podcaster. How long you been doing it?
So I've been interviewing people for, I would say, probably about a year now, but I've
Okay.
really the podcast at the beginning of the year.
So you are a roaster yourself. We talked briefly
Yep.
yesterday about 8 years.
That's right. Yep.
Okay, so you are doing that professionally, correct?
Now I am. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you are doing the professionally, and so how do you start the podcast? I mean,
So,
what?
so basically, how it started is I started asking questions on my
Okay.
own because I wanted to learn, and then it started to evolve into basically what it is now, where I start interviewing the top in the industry and getting their opinions, and that's a good way for me to learn. And then
Mhm.
it just started to form where everyone else was learning as well, and I was like, well, this is kind of good for society and the community, so let's just keep this podcast going.
And then I know you have a military background as well.
That's right.
And thank you for your service, by the way.
That's no problem.
And so when are you planning on retiring it? I know we talked about it briefly, but are you planning on kind of like finish your service anytime soon, or you're gonna
I
finish out as your retirement?
about a year and a half, 2 years left, and I
Okay.
think I'm going to exit the service. That'll put me at. I know I'm super close. That'll put me at 14 years. Um, but no, I think I'm going to dive right into coffee, full force. I already am, but I feel like I got too many irons in the fire, so
Okay.
I want to sole focus on my passion.
So your passion is coffee. So when did you develop that passion for that?
Pretty much, I was actually in Germany. So
Okay.
when I was in Germany, I was used to drinking just either Starbucks coffee or my
Yep.
granddad had Folgers coffee, or I drank that. And I didn't really understand specialty coffee until I had a pour over on a Chemex in Germany, which is where the Chemex was invented.
Wow,
So
that's right.
there's no way that's coffee. And then they were like, no, that's really how coffee is supposed to taste. And I was like, well, whatever that is, I want that every single day for the rest of my life.
Oh, good.
Right.
Okay, so by the way, I know you got some questions for me, so why don't you go ahead, shoot me up.
So the one thing, so I love your page
Uh
because
huh.
it's so raw. Like you just literally you'll be brewing by a stream, or you're
Yep.
brewing at home, you're doing reviews. So the biggest questions like I have is like how you got started into coffee. Like what was the number one factor for you where you were like, I love this and I want to start pursuing this more? When was that for you?
Okay, so it's been okay. So I'm in my 50s. Okay, and
Right.
then I remember when I was when I was kid. When I was like 7 or 8 years old. Because back in Korea, right after meal, all right, my mom and dad, we have at the time we do Maxwell coffee. Those instant coffee, right, with the Maxwell coffee with
Right.
powder cream. Okay, so I remember I got 1 scoop of Maxwell and 2 scoops of the powder creamer and the 3 spoons of sugar. All right, mix that with the water. That was so good. Okay,
Yeah.
that was amazing. So that's how I started way back when. Okay, and then the college days, working as a restaurant, working as a barista for briefly, and after that, after that, I was running a coffee bar, my church. Okay, at the coffee bar, running the church, making espresso and whatnot, and then they just keep it going. And the finally about 5 years ago, my father-in-law bought me a Barista Express. That's 5 years ago, and I realized, okay, so I think I can make great coffee at home.
Right.
That's how I started. And then
Okay.
what happened was 5 years ago, there is no how to clean your Barista Express at home, right? There's no videos on that. So
Right.
you know what? Why not post a couple of videos? So that's how I started my coffee, kind of that coffee journey.
Okay.
And that was 2019.
Okay.
Start
Gotcha.
making videos, and man, I'm telling you, So that's my number one video still nowadays. Okay, because people needs to how to clean your coffee machine.
Right.
The Bravo did clever, right? So
Hmm.
that so our button combination, not touch screen, just a button combination. You have to remember, the fact is you have to clean every what once couple of months. You
Yes.
forget things. Yep. So you forget. So people always come to my channel every 3 months. So it is a lot of fun. Okay, it is a lot
Right.
of fun. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. So that is, I would say that most people have that one cup of coffee that has that blueberry taste that
Yes. Yep.
it's so different than what they're used to, and that's usually what zings people off into, like, I guess, I wouldn't say a career in coffee, but a passion for coffee.
Yep.
So when you started getting into honing in on your coffee abilities and your skills,
Mhm.
what was the biggest difficulties for you learning how to dial your coffee in? Like, what were some of the hardest lessons you learned?
Oh man, I'm still learning it.
Right.
Because every time I brew coffee, I learn something new. And like this morning, I'm gonna about to brew coffee, and then yesterday, my pour over was too slow. Okay, it's about
Okay.
5 minutes. So what if I drink that morning? Yesterday morning, because I don't want a second cup, right? Which means I'm
Right.
gonna think about the next cup, which means tomorrow morning. So I need to think about this. So what do I need to do, right? So I need to change my grinder setting to a la Corsa. So this morning I'm gonna brew it. I'm gonna try to shoot for under 3 minutes.
Okay.
So I have to think about that because coffee changes, as you know, every single day. Okay, the
Right.
thing with the moisture that changes that complexity. So I always think about the next cup of coffee.
Right.
So people ask me, what's the best way to brew coffee, right? What's the how to dial in your espresso? And I love to give you that magic formula, but there's none.
Right.
And you know what? Okay, so make your coffee best you can today. Think about for tomorrow, and dial it in. Guess what? By tomorrow, whenever you drink that coffee, you're gonna think about the next cup. Always think about the next move, kind of like chess move.
Right.
Uh,
100%.
And unless if you have friends over, right? Okay, so now we can actually play. Okay, you know what?
Right.
Let's dial it in one more time here. Another cup. So we share the experience.
Right.
But average person daily, you're not gonna make second cup. So yeah,
Mm.
just think about the tomorrow. And
Right.
that's my recommendation for everybody.
Yeah, and I think the big issue that I have, my own personal problems is I'm stuck on a certain way to do a pour over,
Yes.
and I like it a certain way, but I also want to try new things. It's hard for me to push myself into that, hey, let's agitate a little bit more. Oh, let me
Mhm.
swirl a little bit more. Let me do this. And it's super hard for me to get out of a certain recipe I've been stuck to for a while. I don't know if you deal with the same thing, but I kind of
So,
get stuck. Oh, I
so
like
let
that.
me so let me ask you. Okay, so what is your current brewing method right now?
V60 is
So
my.
you did V60. Okay, what kind of paper?
So I don't use paper. I use the Barista Warrior
Yeah.
copper filter, and that's pretty. I like that. I feel like it puts me right at 4 minutes for my total brew time, and
Okay, and
I've been doing a 75 for Bloom, and then another 75, and I try to do that my second 75. I try to do it a minute 30, and then when I'm pouring my last little bit, I try not to agitate the bed as much.
is
Um,
that is that what metal mash thing or what? What is it?
it is like it's copper, like it's copper coated. It looks like, but I don't think
Okay.
it. And then it's got like a mesh on the inside, but it drains perfectly fine. Like I've noticed that I've gotten it on the same level
Okay.
as my paper filter pretty much.
And then, what kind of grinder are you using right now?
Right now I'm using the Easy Presso.
Okay.
So I have 3 Easy Pressos that I've been using, and then I have just a normal hand grinder I've had for
Okay.
years.
So you got Easy Press. What you got? A K Plus, a
I
GP6.
Plus, and then I forgot what the other one was. The
Okay.
J Max, I think is what it was.
Max, you are using that
Yeah,
as well.
yeah, yeah.
But so the thing about that is that so right now you are using that some similar to metal mash thing, right?
Right,
Once you start adding different papers, also give you that different taste, cleaner taste as well. So I try both,
right.
and for me, Okay, so for me is I play the fortunately, okay, for me is fortunately enough to have this, my small channel so I can play. Okay. So
Right.
one day I play with no agitation. Next
Okay.
day I play with a lot of agitation. Different blooming without the blooming, the longer extraction versus shorter extraction. So I have opportunity to just play with you guys, right? You
Right.
know, and at home, obviously, you could do it if you wanted to, right?
Right.
You know, so you just gotta kind of like get out of the mold. Okay,
Right.
so you
Do
have
you
to break.
do you know the difference at all between paper and metal filters? Have you
Oh
can you
yeah,
can you
yes,
tell yourself?
huge difference.
Okay.
So with the different paper as well, we got the Hario paper versus let's
Right.
say Silver's paper. Okay,
Hmm.
and that's different in taste. Very subtle,
Right.
but you are going to tell a difference
Right.
in flavor.
Okay. So, well, everyone asks me that, and I tell them. So now they're hearing it from you. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So most people are like, "Does it really make that much of a difference?" And I'm like, "It does, and so does your water." So that we can hop into that. So I want to know: do you do water manipulation at all, as far as
I
like?
did. I mean, you know what? I do all the time. So speaking of water, so I'm in Arizona, Sedona, Flagstaff, Arizona, and if you drive about 30 minutes, it's called Oak Creek Canyon. Okay,
Okay.
and then so Oak Creek Canyon, the side of the road, there is a spring water well there. Okay, you can
Nice.
actually bottle spring well water. I got right there. So yesterday I drove down to Oak Creek Canyon. I got myself 5 gallons of spring water from the ground. Okay. So I tried that water last night with my third wave water. Guess what?
Okay.
That water is spectacular. Okay. So water matters. That's huge. Okay. The water quality is like I say about 90%.
Oh,
You
it
know?
it literally so when I first started with water manipulation, it dramatically changed
Yeah.
my cup. Like I didn't know my coffee could taste any better than what I was doing, really, unless someone showed me some more tips
Yep.
on how, but it made a huge difference for me.
So how do you make your water at home?
So I go through a company called Lotus,
Okay.
and he sends me droppers from calcium, sodium,
Yep.
potassium,
Yep.
magnesium, and he has a couple of recipes on his website.
Yep.
And he's got a sweet recipe I've been stuck with,
Okay.
which is it's really dialed my coffee in. I've enjoyed it.
Okay. So how often you change your water chemistry, water recipe?
So it depends. If I'm trying to pull out more acidity,
Okay.
I'll switch the recipe up. But if I like it, like I said, it's really hard for me to switch my stuff up. If I like what I'm liking, I'll make that every single morning. Um, but I would say probably once a week. Once a week I'll go back and I'm like, all right, I'm feeling like I want a little bit more zing. So
Yeah.
then I'll roast an Ethiopian coffee and then I'll dial my water in to get that more acidic cup.
I think okay. So that's kind of like next level, right? Okay.
Right,
I mean, most people use let's say tap water,
right,
to pure let's say distilled water, and they add those kind of chemistry, right? Third way,
right,
perfect water, even lotus water. Okay,
right.
play with that. And if you get into it, I like to make my own water. Let's go to Brista Hustler has the great recipes out there. Okay,
Right.
and then you make your own concentration, right?
Yeah. I haven't done that yet. I haven't done
Okay,
that quite.
try. It is a lot of fun.
It's
Okay,
a lot. Okay.
but once you've done it, guess what? You experienced it. Guess what? And then now everybody go down to okay, well, something easy. Okay,
Right.
it
Yeah.
is a lot of work. Okay, so everybody very excited.
Mhm.
Go really fast. Okay, very excited. And then
Right.
once you have some kind of plateau, and then at that time, that's the where your growth start, right? Okay, so
Right.
now I experienced the 1 through 100. So now I want the consistency. Okay,
Right.
if I want this cup of coffee, I want to bring up more acidity. What is the best formula for that? Start making a notes, making a plan for your next cup. I mean, so that's know when you are becoming a coffee hobbyist. Okay.
Right. Yeah. So when you started dialing your coffee, and when did you start experimenting with all different brew methods, and how often do you do that? So like for you specifically, do you stick with one for a certain amount of time, or do you try different brew methods every day of the week? What's your schedule?
You know what? I mean, I go live streaming pretty much every day.
Right.
So so whatever I feel like, right? So one day I use with like comes to pour over. Okay, I use let's say MK dripper today.
Okay.
Oreo tomorrow. I use a B75 next day if I wanted to. Origami, V60, P70. I mean, there are so many different brewers out there.
Right.
We got Kono, and I'm getting some company called Great Kano. Okay, and there's another new brewers coming out as well. I mean, there's so many great drippers, but it's kind of like it is a lot of fun. Okay, it's fun to play with.
For
So
sure.
I get to play, and for personally, lately, I'm into like ceramic now. So I've been
Okay.
playing with the MK dripper. I mean, it is really fun to use.
Do
I
you
mean,
enjoy the outcome of that one?
outcome is all the pretty much slightly different,
Slightly
but
different. Okay.
cup qualities are pretty much similar. Okay, very similar,
Okay.
but it's about the experience of making. Okay,
Right.
it's all about the experience of the brewing experience. So
For
I
sure.
mean, that's kind of like 70% of people. If you're a coffee hobbyist, you want the experience, right?
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
form of
exactly. All the method, how much fun you are going to have when you're making coffee. If you want a cup of coffee, stick with the V60. All right, V60 is amazing.
right.
Can't go wrong with the V60, and you're gonna have a great cup every single time.
Right.
So it's all dependent on what you want. So
Okay. Awesome. Yes, I think for me, I tried different things, and the only one I have honestly, and I'm being super honest, I've
uh-huh.
not to dial in is my French press. I do not know why I have an issue with the French press. Maybe it's me. I don't know
You
what
know
I'm doing.
what? I don't do French press.
Okay.
I mean, I have a lot of French press brewer at my coffee desk. I don't say coffee studio. You have studio, okay?
Right.
And I have coffee desk and
Okay.
stuff
Gotcha.
with the coffee gears. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, I just don't like French. It's too muddy, okay? Because I mean, I like tea-like coffee,
Okay.
really clean cup coffee. I mean, that's what I enjoy. If I want a somewhat muddy cup, I do Americano. Shot of great espresso, add some hot water.
Right.
I mean, most times I do really enjoy clean cut.
Okay. So if Hoon had a day off and was just relaxing by the stream, what is
Yep.
your coffee bean? If you could pick any coffee in the world to sit there and meditate to and just relax, what are you going with?
You know what? I definitely. So I've been really enjoying the natural process coffee, right? Because
Okay.
I've been playing with the anaerobic for. I mean, I went through the stage. Okay, I went to the anaerobic, highly processed coffee, and then so we have a roaster called Hydrangea, the
Okay.
Bill in Bay Area. He does incredible coffee beans. He's like anti-wash coffee. Okay,
Okay. Gotcha.
I got some coffee from him. Amazing. Tastes like grapes. Tastes like peach, strawberry. So and then we got the wash coffee. We have Say does an amazing job as well. You know,
Right.
very extremely clean cup. And then lately, I'm kind of like in the between the natural processed coffee.
Okay.
Just give you enough, you know, flavor, but not too clean. So any kind of Ethiopia natural. I mean, I'm really enjoying that lately. So I mean,
Okay.
that's kind of like my go-to right now.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. That's and what was that called again? What was the brand called?
Which one?
Like the one you set up in San Francisco? What
Hydrangea.
hydrangea? Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Hydrangea. So he's a new roaster.
Okay.
He's been doing for I think about a year or so. His name is Bill. I think
Okay. Gotcha.
I'm pretty sure his name is Bill.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I've been right now, I've been having a 72-hour fermented
Yep.
anaerobic
Yep.
half natural, Honduran coffee, and it's good. It's,
What, what's the tasting notes coming out from that coffee?
so it has a back end taste of watermelon to it,
Okay.
Yeah, and it depends. If you're going with medium roast, it kind of
Okay.
goes with a mixture between blueberry and brown sugar,
Uh-huh.
but if you go lighter, it has more of like a watermelon finish to it.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's pretty good. I like it. It's the first time I've ever had those notes, but there was one cup of coffee that I got hooked on for a minute, and it was a Papua New Guinea, and I haven't had it in a while, but it had a pineapple finish to it,
Oh
and
wow.
yeah, and I liked it. It was really good. I need to buy some more of that, but I've been kind of hooked on this 72-hour fermented coffee. It's really good, and it literally I have not had any issues roasting this coffee at all. Like it heats up pretty nice and it stays steady all the way through the roast. Nice size, and it's yeah, I really love it. I think I'm gonna stick with it. The thing is it's pretty expensive to to just roast and get out to everybody.
So which roaster are you using at home right now?
So I am a anybody that comes and looks at my setup, they're like, dude, you're a mad scientist because I I have four uh SR 800s,
Okay.
four with a thermocouple
Okay.
uh, hooked inside that's hooked into a Mastech, and then those are hooked into Artisan.
Okay.
And I pretty much dial in four of them. So I'm putting out 2 bags of coffee in 9-10 minutes.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
yeah, so the reason why I'm stuck with that is because I really like the fluid bed filled
Mhm.
roasters. I like the air roast. And nothing against drum, I love drums, but I feel like there's less material touching my coffee beans. So I just bought a bunch of SR 800s and I dial them in like that.
You know the funny thing, because we have our friend Dar Rock on the live chat right now. He is a engineer himself, and he loves fluid bed, kind of like your setup at
Right.
home. Okay.
I feel like I have a little bit more control
Sure.
and that I know all the thermocouples I have hooked up into one, so pretty much it reads all my levels through different lines on Artisan. So I feel like I got just as much control and there's less room for error because I have
And
them all. I mean, that's my opinion, honestly.
you did mention earlier you kind of like the mod out your Gaza Classic Pro there.
I did, and I'll shoot you a picture of that. But yeah,
Okay.
so pretty much, I bought a Gaja Classic. So I was gonna buy a La Marzocco,
Okay.
and then I was like, you know what? I seen a video by Lance Hendricks on the Gaja Classic, and I was like,
Yep.
I went out and bought all the material, and
Yep.
I put the gauge in there. I got the
Yep.
dimmer switch. I changed everything out on it. So it was, and honestly, I've been to some coffee shops and I think I'm pulling just as good or better espresso shots out of it,
You
honestly.
know what? I've been telling all my friends out there, my viewers, whoever watching my channel, most likely your coffee is better than 99% of coffee shops. Okay.
Right.
And because it's hard to find great coffee shops, because at home you're able to make just what you like, right? Yeah,
Right. Yeah,
your cup of coffee. And then for the regular coffee shops, they make for coffee for the 90% of people.
for sure.
So if you are that 10%, you're out of luck. Okay.
Yeah, 100%. And I like from watching your page, like it is a form of meditation in the brewing process, and that's
Mhm.
what I do on my own. Obviously going to shops and experimenting, that's awesome. But it's a form of meditation, like making espresso for my wife or myself in the morning.
Yep.
I love doing the whole setup. Like that is just super enjoyable to me. Play some good music, and it's just a whole atmosphere. So I just
Sure.
love our like brewing anything pretty much.
I think that's the difference between coffee drinker versus coffee hobbyist like
Right.
us. Because we want the journey. Okay. I mean, end result is plus. Okay. I
Right.
mean, the plus. But how to get there is that makes a lot interesting. You know.
Right. Now, have you ever experienced this? And I know I have. So, so I would say this is a year ago, about a year ago, I started getting really into changing up my brewing methods. And then I
Mhm.
started dialing my coffee in a certain way. And I was like, man, this is getting good. What I think I'm doing right now is getting really good. And then you bring someone over that's not a hobbyist, like you're saying, and you're like, man, you got to try this. And you
Mhm.
give it to them, and they're like, that's just coffee, man.
Yeah. That I mean that happens a lot. Okay.
Right.
Because I mean, even with my coffee friends, right? And they say, okay, I mean, that's okay, right? That's all right. Even though I love it, because everyone's are different in their taste buds.
Right.
And even my roaster friends out there, and I make some coffee for my roaster friends. What do you think? He said, okay, that's good. That's it. Okay,
Right.
that's good.
Yeah.
But I think it's great. But again, because that doesn't mean it's good coffee. That doesn't mean it's good for others.
Right. For
And
sure. Yeah. Taste.
but taste. But I mean that's okay because not everybody likes. But here's the thing. But once you brew a very interesting coffee, right?
Right.
Something like like you said, like 72-hour fermentation coffee, and you give it to your friends, and they may not like it, but
Right.
they're going to remember that coffee.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, so I mean that's what I'm looking for. I want coffee that remembers. Okay, memorable coffee.
Right.
It's been a while for me. Okay, it's been a while for 2023. I have not find this coffee that memorable. Okay, and I mean that's what I'm looking. I'm hopefully second half of the year I'm gonna find that coffee
For
because
sure.
all the coffees are great. Okay, I want something memorable.
For
So do you have any memorable coffee you can remember, Josh?
I remember if I had to remember one that actually really knocked my socks off,
Yeah.
it was an Ethiopian coffee that had like a citrusy orange zing to it for me,
Okay.
and that's the first time I ever experienced that. So because
Okay.
you know, most of the coffee in the states is your normal nutty, chocolatey
Hmm.
notes in your
Yep.
average
Yep.
coffee.
That's it.
And when I had my first Ethiopian, it was a washed and it knocked my socks off. Like it literally hit me in the face. And I was like, I've never had that kind of coffee before. And then that's when I kind of started like experimenting with acidity and started trying
Hmm.
more ways to pull notes out. And I started, for my own personal cup, I started roasting a little bit more lighter so I could keep the bean as close as I could to the farm. So then has kind of moved me into that direction.
So I mean, how's the coffee scene in South Carolina? Do you have any good coffee roasters over there?
Yeah, we have Methodical Coffee out of Greenville, South Carolina, and then there's a bunch of small coffee shops. But there's really where I'm at right now. I'm pretty much the only one in this area that roasts in South Carolina, and most people have never had home roasted coffee before. So it's um, or just roasted coffee within a 10-day period. Most people have never had that. Most of their coffee is been on the shelves for months, and then when
Sure.
coffee that's been roasted within 10 days, it blows their mind. So pretty much in this area, it's kind of kept my customer base really good because they've never had that before.
Wow.
So
That
yeah.
I mean, that's interesting there. So how far from North Carolina from your place? Have you been to Black and White Coffee?
Yeah, so I just had Cat, a roaster Cat, if you guys
That's
follow.
right. Yep.
I just had her on the show, and I've never been there in person, but I plan on going. I have a bunch of podcasts scheduled for the end of this month, and we're actually doing an in-person podcast with the Captain's Coffee and some other individuals, and we're going to be doing the podcast while we're cupping. So it's going to be an in-person. We're going to cup, write the notes down, and then we're going to ask questions and just dive into the podcast while we're cupping.
Oh God, I mean, it's gonna be great. So how far from your place to like Black and White? Is that far? A couple hour drive or?
I'm about 3 hours.
Okay, wow, that's drive.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. About 3 hours from there. I'm about. I think the closest place to me is Methodical, and they're about an hour and a half away from me.
So are you middle of nowhere there or what?
I'm in Columbia, so I'm like
Okay.
right. I'm not. I'm right outside of Columbia, and if I want to go anywhere, like as far as coffee goes, I could go down to Savannah, Georgia, which isn't too far away.
Okay.
Where you got Perk Coffee out of there. You got a bunch of different companies out of Savannah, Georgia, which are really good. My company will be moving in the next year and a half to 2 years to Georgia. We'll be right outside of Atlanta, so we'll be a little bit more around a central hub than where I am now.
Oh man, so man, you gotta drive. You gotta
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
that's not cool. But I mean, same as Tucson too. Tucson, we have about 2, 3 great specialty coffee shop, but other than that, that's it.
Right. Now, how often do you go to shops? Do you go often, or are you pretty much just about the home brewing process?
No, because I go to okay, so I'm very friendly with the coffee shop owners and coffee shop people.
Okay.
So I try to go to shop at least once a week.
Okay.
Talk to the baristas. Like even this afternoon, I'm in Flagstaff right now. I'm gonna go hang out at the Lund Canyon coffee shop in Flagstaff. Uh,
Okay.
we're gonna do some little throwdown. Okay,
Nice.
we're
Nice.
gonna use their coffee, and they. So I'm gonna go against with home barista versus a professional barista,
Okay.
and
Gotcha.
then we're gonna brew some prober. So we're gonna do some
Uh,
blind tasting. So just have some fun with it.
right. So when you started dialing your coffee, and when did you start getting into cupping? When were you like, okay, I want to start cupping and finding different notes in coffee? When
You,
did you?
you know what? Okay. So comes to coughing, I don't do it. I don't do that often.
Okay. Gotcha.
And then because it takes time, messy. You
Right.
know, because I want something clean. Because I want the end results, right?
Right.
Because coughing, you are going to taste, beginning to end. Okay. And but with the what if I brew something? Because I know the end results. Coughing is an art form as well. You know.
Right.
I mean, it is a you have to know what you're doing comes to cuffing wise. It takes
Right.
time. The skills, the set of skills I don't
Yeah.
have yet. You know, am I going to do it? I don't know. If I want to bag up coffee, and I do roasting at the shop as well. I do a lot of roasting myself, but yeah, I just want the end results. Roast my coffee, wait a few days, and just brew it. And then sometimes I do. Sometimes I do coughing. Whenever I got a brand new coffee, and I do that once in a while, but not that often.
Right. Yeah, I try to do it, I try to do it twice a week. I do Wednesdays and
Sure.
Sundays. But yeah,
Yep.
and Sundays is more of like a date night for me and my wife, so we cup on.
Sure.
And that pretty much that just helps me dial. The reason why I cup mainly, if I wasn't a roaster, I would probably not cup as much.
Sure. Yep.
But since I want to dial my coffee and I pretty much roast, I cup twice a week. So, so after you started building this channel, what were some of the difficulties with keeping up with bringing people along with your journey of coffee? I know certain individuals, they either find it a task to post, or they're full in with it. Like when were you? I guess when did you decide that this was going to be a full time gig for you to start posting every single day or every other day?
I mean, okay, since I'm doing the live streaming,
Hmm.
okay, and then because I'm making coffee anyway, because I have
Right.
to make myself coffee every morning anyway. So why not, okay, bring my friends in to my
Right.
coffee experience? That's it, okay.
Gotcha.
Because and as you can see from the most coffee channels, they post maybe once a week,
Right.
maybe twice a week, right? And they talk about certain topics, okay. Talk about grinders, talk about how to brew, okay, product reviews, you know, how to dial in espresso. Okay. For me, I'm already done it. All right.
Right.
Because there's only so much to talk about coffee. Okay. Comes to gears. They got so many grinders. All right. If I'm posting every single day, why not bring people in? Okay.
Right.
Which means it's less engagement. Okay. Because people already saw it. They're not going to come that often. We have about 26 people watching right now. And they're my core community. Okay. And they're
Right.
the one come see me, kind of hang out with me, just like you and I, we are hanging out.
Yeah,
They
for
are the
sure.
one watch us. We are hanging out in the morning, share my coffee experience. Okay. And that's it, you know. And I mean, it is full time. It's not a full time gig. It's more like
Right.
it kind of like I'm making coffee full time because so do
Right.
you. You make coffee every single day.
Right.
Only thing I'm doing is right now just point the camera at it.
For sure. Yeah, and I
Yep.
feel like what you're doing is valuable because we've lost part of that in society, is that community aspect. And it's you feel like you're surrounded by a big community, especially when you bring people along on the journey
Yep.
with what. And that's what I love about coffee. Coffee is an atmosphere, and
Yep.
when you get a bunch of people that enjoy coffee together, it's some great conversations, and it's just an awesome experience all around. So that's why I love your page, because you bring people along with everything you're doing, and I think that's lost in today's society pretty much.
And I mean, yeah, I mean, I think you're right on it. Okay, I mean, that's the one. I feel like they're missing the fun of making coffee. Coffee making should be enjoyable and fun. Okay, I think we lost that because there's so many. Sometimes if you talk with the hardcore coffee community, I mean, like you say, you're stuck on your ratio. Okay,
Right, right,
you know, can I go 30-second blooming versus let's say 60-second blooming? What's going to happen? Okay. Okay,
right,
let's find out, right? Do it.
right,
And that comes to ratio. Okay. If you're putting shotting the espresso, you're going to go 1 to 2. Okay.
mhm,
What's the right shot time, right? Is that
right,
between 25 and 30-second shots? Or is that when do you start time your shot? You're going to see
right,
the first drop or you're going to stay once press the button. Okay.
right,
But the matter is what's the end results, right? Sometimes people think about the extraction yield. Okay, they bring out their refractometer, my extraction yield at whatever, right?
right,
Okay, high extraction yield. That doesn't mean what does that mean? Okay, is that taste? Is that taste good to you?
right.
If you got the low extraction, if it tastes good to you, that's the coffee you want to drink.
For sure. Yeah, it taste and taste is so subjective too. So like I never, and I'm pretty sure you're the same way. I never bag on anyone for not tasting what I think my coffee should taste like.
Yep.
So whatever you think's good, like I said, taste is so subjective, and it's whatever you like. Like you hit the nail on the head. Like if you
Yep.
have a low extraction yield and you have a heavier bodied cup and you like that, then I mean, who's to say that you are not tasting the right things that you're supposed
Yes. Yep. That's it. But I mean, if your friends, come along and then you are going to take them to the journey, right? Okay. So if this is copies that they like it, okay, give them something different, okay,
to? Right,
completely opposite. They may not like it. That's okay because we want them to experience different coffee.
right,
And so because make them think about it. Make them think about their cup of coffee in the So next time they're gonna drink, you know what? I really like this. I really don't like that. So they're gonna remember you. Okay, they
right,
remember that cup. So whenever they go to coffee shops, whatever, what, and they're there with, wow, okay, so now I know something. I mean,
right.
this coffee shop has good coffee. They know. They're starting to find out, what good coffee tastes like.
For sure. And I think, and I've said this before on my last podcast. Um, Most individuals, their knowledge, and it's not to bag on anybody, their knowledge of coffee is Folgers or any other big companies like
Sure.
that.
Yeah.
And I think they start throwing it into the category of just mass produced items like a box of cereal almost. And they don't understand that coffee really is special if you look for it. So I think we're moving in the right direction as a whole, as a coffee community. I think everyone's starting to realize that there's better coffee out there more and more as we keep moving through the years. I've noticed that you keep posting about your Aeropress. How have you pulled out some really decent cups with your Aeropress?
Yeah, because okay, so here's Aeropress is very underrated for recently. The
Right.
Aeropress used to be amazing, okay,
Hmm.
and over the years, and the other brewers starting to coming up,
Right.
right, and the Aeropress is kind of left behind, okay, a little bit, okay, and but I mean Aeropress can be amazing, and and then sometimes I use two paper instead of one. I want a little more cleaner finish, and I just play with a number of different papers. Sometimes I do the 1, 2, 3, and the three is four is too much. Three is kind of like
Right.
my max for me. So two
Oh,
is kind of like sweet spot. I do two papers. Yeah, you can do some amazing cup with Aeropress.
right. Yeah. I think it's so fascinating, especially the clear one where you can see everything in it.
Hmm.
And yeah, I think it's awesome. Especially if you're like going camping or something like that. You just take it out there with you.
You know what I mean? That is it's not the prettiest to look at, but that's
Right.
the most versatile.
For
Okay,
sure.
just one container you can take anywhere, and you're going to make great coffee.
For sure. I have been wanting to ask you this question. So, when you travel and you go anywhere, are you looking to try out coffee shops in whatever area you're traveling to, or you just bring your own coffee with you?
No, no, because I mean, as you can see, I'm on a little vacation. I brought everything. I
Okay,
got my
got.
Barista Pro. I got my Flair 58. I got
Okay,
my P64 grinder. I'm bring pretty much, if I have the
good.
space, I bring a lot of my coffee gear on
Okay,
my vacation, and I'm going out to different coffee shops.
okay, that makes sense. So you have the whole setup wherever you go.
Yeah, I just bring my whole setup.
Okay, I've never used the Flare 58 ever. How is it in your
Okay, I mean, if you're a hardcore espresso person,
Mhm.
you're gonna love it.
Okay,
But if you already have machine at home, uh, you're gonna be underwhelmed. Let's put it that way.
okay,
Because okay, so here's the thing about the manual machine. All right, you cannot. It's hard to have both. If you have a semi-automatic machine, right, and if a manual machine, you always go for the semi-automatic because it's a lot easier, so
right.
much convenient. Okay, and then but that's why if you want to do one, just pick one. Okay,
Okay,
don't have two. All right. And so if you only have a Flair 58 with a great grinder, you're gonna make great coffee.
right.
But if you have a Flair 58 with, let's say, Gaza Classic Pro or the modded out, most likely you're gonna be going back to Gaza Classic Pro.
Okay, I see. That makes
You
sense.
know, because the manual, even the Flair 58, is really, really easy to use, but you still have to put the water into the water, the portion there. You know what I mean, reservoir.
Right, right.
Okay, I mean, it is work. Okay, couple seconds, but it is a step. You cannot avoid that.
I feel like it has to be like anything manual to me feels like awesome and primitive. Like it's like what we're supposed to
Yep.
be. So I feel like I would enjoy the manual aspect. That's why I have the hand grinders. Like I don't use my electrical grinder as
Okay.
much. And yeah, I pretty much just only do the hand grinder because I feel like my hand is in the making of the coffee.
So once you get into that manual process, right? But if you are so think about the birds, right? Bird design. Okay. And then and like P64 has a Meisenbergs, all right.
Okay,
It does an amazing job. And then I don't think any hand grinders out there can cannot beat let's say 64 or 98 millimeter flapper with the different types of design, like
right,
Caspers, MP Birds. Okay, even Meisen's really good. Lap Suite, high uniformity. It's all different birds. So yes, I mean I know where you're coming from. The manual process is enjoyable, but if
mhm,
you want the cup quality, the little nuance into it, you have to go to electric grinder.
right. Yeah, that's I I I think for my own, like as far as like a cup quality, yeah, I agree with that. I just for some reason it's a form of meditation when I do the whole
Sure.
manual
Yep.
thing. So that's kind of why I stick to it.
I mean, I mean, you're going to get a great cup, right? You're going to get a great cup of coffee with pretty
Right,
much any grinders, okay?
right,
But sometimes we are such into that squeeze out every flavor in that cup of coffee.
right.
We
Now,
are
what go
obsessed
to
with it.
grinder?
My go-to grinder right now is comes to usability, workflow, P64, hands
P64.
down. I mean, hands down. Okay, but comes to pour over, right? Comes to pour over. If you want an extremely clean cup, I go with my EK43.
Okay.
And if I want to do something interesting, something large conical, I go with my MC5.
So you think the P64 pulls out more flavors than the other grinders as far
No, it's
as
not. No, I mean it's not. It's not the flavor. It's a lot easier to use.
it's a
And
lot
bring
of,
out, yeah, is bring out great cup. Great cup. Okay, let's
I,
put it down. Okay,
okay, that makes sense.
and
Okay.
then but it all depends on the coffee beans as well.
Right.
I mean, if I'm doing the pour over with some kind of fermentation coffee, I like to use a large conical, right?
Right.
And if I want to do Ethiopia wash, I want to go with the large flatbirds. Okay, so it's kind of like all depends. All right, all depend on the beans.
Right. Say
All,
that.
all,
You learn something new every day. Say that again.
so I mean, for my
Right.
personally, okay, if I do the wash coffee,
Right.
okay, I like a large flatbird, like 98, like EK43.
Okay. I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah,
Washed, you like large flat.
large flat, and then if I do like anaerobic process, some kind of fermentation process, right?
Okay.
And I like a large conical. A large conical means that's a key. The Weber key is pretty nice. Actually, I really like the hand grinder HG1
Okay.
from
Okay.
Weber HG1 Prime. I mean, that's 80. I believe that's 83 millimeter conical.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like they bring out very interesting tasting note there. But it depends. Some people may not like that. You know, so ideally, you want to try both. You want to try both. Which one
Yeah.
I like the best, right?
Right.
So try with the large flat and try the large conical and the brew it. So you know what you like. But here's the thing about that, though. I mean, fortunately, I have luxury to try those grinders.
Right.
Most people they don't have that luxury,
No. No.
right?
Yeah.
So whatever you have, just enjoy it.
Right.
Okay. So if you want to bring out the more acidic instead of using the different grinders, you know what? Just add a little bit more calcium on your water.
Right.
Okay, to bring out the acidity. So I mean, you don't have to buy grinder for that coffee. Just play with your water chemistry. You know,
Right.
so there's a different way to make coffee. You know, and the change maybe grind size,
Right.
bring out more acidity, right? To so okay, that's why coffee is so much fun.
It
So much
is.
fun to make.
It is an art form. I think it's an art form.
It
So
is.
it takes so much attention to detail, and but the thing is there's so much room for improvement, and you can just dial different facets of
Yep.
coffee. It's like and I know it sounds cliche, but it seriously is like a new adventure every day. When you wake up with coffee, you're like, what do I want to do today? And then
Yep.
there's different things you can do to it because, like I said, taste is subjective. So you could switch it up as much as you want.
Oh yeah. So I
So
mean, yes. You're absolutely correct.
I had a question about competing. So when did
Yep.
you decide to get into competing?
Okay, I'm one and done guy. Okay, I
Right.
competed last year. I'm one and done
I
because
didn't know if you were doing more. That's why I was asking. I
you
didn't
know what,
know.
I love to do more, but it's a competitor versus if you want to learn about how to make coffee, I highly recommend you to compete at least once. Okay,
Okay.
you are going to learn so much about brewing because you got to think about it. Okay, because some especially Brewers Cup prelim is so much fun. They're gonna go to the competition site. They're gonna give you a bag of coffee. You have to pick. They're gonna give you 3 or 4 different options. You
Right.
have to pick out the. You are doing the first. You are doing the taste the coffee first. Whatever coffee you like to brew, pick that coffee, right? And then they give you time to practice. Okay, and then you gotta dial it in, and then think about the routine. You know,
Right.
so you are looking at as a whole, and they only give you a certain time. That's it. A couple minutes. So you need to practice your script and also your step by step, and then just give that to judge. Hopefully, you're gonna get a high score.
Right. Now,
But
was that
again,
nerve wracking for you the first time you experienced it?
man, even though I'm in front of camera every single day, still nerve wracking
Nerve. Okay.
because there's something you're doing something completely new. Even though I brew every single day, okay. I mean, it is nerve wracking because you are in the time constraint and just make sure every spot needs to be clean, right?
Right.
And then, yeah, I mean, it is fun, but that's rush, I think. And you're gonna learn so much about coffee as well. You're gonna think about it. Think about the flavor. How can I bring out that brightness? Okay,
Right.
if it is too bright, okay, how can I tone it down? All right. because they give you the grinder, they give you the water, so you have no control with what kind of grinder you are going to use and what kind of water chemistry. They're already given to you, but you have choice in brewing method. Okay,
Right.
you can bring your brewing method, you can bring your paper, but that's it. So you really got to think about the grinder setting. So I mean, it is fun. Yeah, I highly recommend it.
Right. Well, what was some things that you took away from it? So as soon as the competition was over and you took it back home into your own brewing methods, what did you take home?
Oh man, because I starting to realize, for makes you prep. Okay,
Right.
even though I felt like I was prepped, I was using my Akaya lunar scale,
Okay.
and the one of your brewing process, I had a one dripped. Okay, touch the touch screen there. Have you ever used Akaya scale? Do you have one?
No, I have a square digital scale. It's almost like the new Fellow one that came out.
Okay. Anyway, so whenever I drop, they reset my time automatically.
I see. Okay.
I did not lock the screen. Let's put it that way. Okay. You
Mm.
can disable the auto lock or something. And there's so one brew. Okay, so I make two brew. So one of them was messed up. Okay, so I'm looking back at, gosh, I need to prepare better prep.
Right.
Okay, I mean that's the one takeaway is you gotta. I mean because you overlook so many, even grinder setting. Maybe I should done change my grinder setting even better. Maybe my script.
Right.
So I mean kind of the hindsight is 2020, right? You know, but I'm looking back. Hey, but that was really fun, and the competing is again the other. I mean, they are different people. Let's put it that way. People
Right.
loves to compete, but
I
yeah,
don't know if I would be able to, honestly. I don't like I make it personally. I couldn't imagine trying to, I guess, score or impress someone with my coffee at that level. I feel like, I mean, like you said, I definitely think I should try it to because I'm always trying to challenge myself. But I feel
try
like,
once. Yeah,
right, just
try at least once because for the especially prelim is everything is on the
right.
same level. Okay,
Okay,
everybody using the same grinder, same coffee. So at that point, all about the skills.
okay,
Okay, love the skills, and for that particular competition, this the Yudi is the name. She won that prelim. She was using the V60.
okay,
I think she scored like 86 points, 86 or 87. Uh, Really good score. Okay, using V60,
okay.
and I was using the Tricklet, and so it's a kind of like different brewing style. But yeah, I mean, that's the reason why I like using V60. It's proven, right?
Right,
The
it is.
V60 won the most competition over the years.
Right.
I know it's not exciting brewer, but you know what? I mean, if you know
Oh,
how to brew that V60, you're gonna make some great brew.
yeah, it's a good cup every single
Yeah.
time. So I had a question that I ask most of my guests on the
Uh huh.
on my podcast. Um, what is your opinion on how to ethically source beans, and where do you stand as far as treatment of farmers in countries where the beans come from?
Oh man, I mean that is a loaded question, right?
Right,
Because I mean, for the end users, we don't see it. Okay, and then so whenever I talk to the roaster friends, okay, so even the people who work with the direct farmers, right?
right,
The farmer owners, do you know they are treat their staff employees ethically? We don't know. Okay, and I mean some farmers out there, I mean those people make pretty much next to nothing.
right,
Okay, and they turn around, sell the coffee, uh, kind of a couple of different hands, right? So we have that's the reason why the specialty coffee is very important because we work with the direct, okay, directly to the farmers,
right,
and there's no whole lot of wholesaler involved.
right,
And there's no a lot of distributors. So I know a lot of high end coffee roasters in US. They actually work with the farmers. They actually buy the farm. Okay, and they work with them directly, so they know they are taking care. But they're the only small percentage, right?
Right.
So we got that 90% of this huge kind of like industrial farmers out there, right? People dealing with what? Let's say, Starbucks. Okay, I mean they're using thousands and thousands tons of coffee every single year. I mean they're ethically sourced, maybe, maybe not, right? Sometimes you can afford to, you
For
know.
sure. There's so many farms out there too. There are so many farms, so it's hard to reach all of them.
No,
But I think one of the biggest things I do kind of preach on the channel is it's not to negate anybody or say anything about anyone. It's just to more like bring awareness to where your coffee comes from and just having some type of empathy because I feel like most people don't understand how many beans, hand-picked beans or cherries it takes to go into your cup of coffee every morning. And it's like most individuals are a little detached, but as humans, we're detached from most things anyways when it comes to convenience. So, but it's more so just bringing awareness, and I just wanted to
sure.
pick your brain and see what your thoughts were on it.
I mean, I think that's the reason everybody should roast once,
Right,
right? You gotta at least roast once, uh, because my first coffee roaster was my frying pan. I would start making videos on, how to make, how to roast coffee at home with the frying pan, and I use a Wally popcorn, popcorn
right,
popper. After that, might be more, it just. But once you start people roasting, they're gonna see the green beans for the first time.
right.
Okay?
Yeah,
And then they're gonna see the green beans. They're gonna think, okay, so wow, this is green beans looks like. So this one become a coffee, the roasted coffee. They can smell it. Okay, so now they think about it. They think about the coffee, coffee tree. Do you know
right.
there is a coffee farm in Santa Barbara?
I did not know that.
Okay, so there is a French. Okay, the French is the kind of like the company, and they work with a number of coffee grower in kind of like coast, San Francisco, not the San Francisco, Santa Barbara and San Diego area. They do geisha. Okay,
Oh, okay.
so I get to experience their coffee. Last year I was interviewing their CEO. Interesting families.
Did you have some coffee out of there?
Yes, yep. They sent me some coffee beans. They
Okay.
do geisha. And this year, do you know Ilika Lefty? You know who that is? Ilika
I
Lefty.
I'd have to. If I saw, I probably would
Okay,
know.
so Ilika is the Brewers Cup champion. Okay, he's
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah,
I mean, he's a very he's well known, and he worked with the French this year competition.
he just won. Right? He just won this year, right?
No, he won the
No,
Brewers
no,
Cup.
no. Who
Yeah,
won
I
this year?
think. Yeah, I think he took seventh. Okay, I
That,
think fifth or seventh. I'm not quite sure, but he didn't won. But here's a big deal: he used coffee from French,
okay.
California coffee. That's unheard of. It. Okay, he take the coffee from U.S., go on the national stage, in the international stage. I mean, top 10. That's a big deal.
Right, for
So,
sure. Yeah, that's some awesome coffee. I'm gonna have to try some of that. And that's the thing that a lot of people don't understand too. There's a difference between really good coffee and then coffee that individuals take to that stage of competition. Because most of those cups are scored extremely high.
uh,
And
I mean, those competitions, we not, most people cannot experience that cup. Okay, because I mean they're so rare,
right.
right? And if you have their so rare that whenever they produce, they're all bought out by this top coffee shops. Okay, coffee roaster in the world. Okay.
So I had before I know we're coming close to
Uh-huh.
the here. I had a couple of questions. If you could go back and talk to your younger self getting into coffee, what advice would you give your younger self? Or and this goes for anybody. It could be applicable to anybody getting into the coffee industry or getting into brewing or whatever. What advice would you give yourself, and what things would you keep the same?
You know what? Pretty much one. Okay, so here's if I don't have to go even younger self, even a couple years back, right? So I mean, if you're enjoying your coffee, I'm gonna say just stick with whatever brewing method you are using. Okay, master it. All right. Do not deviate that. If you want to start with the V60, master the V60. Okay, and then you want to be the master at one thing. If you want to try something new, and then move on after. All right. So most people, the problem with, there's a lot of new gadgets, a lot of new shiny things out there. Okay, set V60, and then you look around on the YouTube or Instagram. Wow, I really like that Kono dripper.
Right.
Okay, shiny, different colors, neon green, yellow, purple, fantastic, right? Buy
Right.
one, and they so look around you. There's something new. So which means you haven't mastered one yet. You start collecting things. So pretty much, I tell most of my viewers, unless you have time, space, and money, if you don't have that, stick with the one, master it, good at it, and if you want to move on to the next brewing method, okay. If not, you are going to become kind of like me. You're become a collector.
Right.
Definitely not. Okay. And but so again, so just keep doing what you are doing. Stick with it until I reach that point. I feel comfortable using the brewing method. And then if you want to do something new, okay, try something new. I mean, that's my recommendation to pretty much everybody.
Awesome. Yeah, that's some good advice. I feel like, you know, most people are scared to try something new, or they're scared to, like me. I even stated that in the beginning. Like, I'm scared to change up my ratios. Like you're saying, I guess try everything, and get, you can be good at what you're already good at, but trying different methods, I think that's super.
But the thing is, you got nothing to lose, right? What do you got to lose?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it's just a coffee. Okay, if you
Right.
have a bad coffee, just okay.
Right.
Don't be afraid to toss that coffee. All right. If you don't drink bad coffee. If you made bad coffee, just toss it. All right.
Right.
And then make yourself another cup. All right. Because if your coffee is decent, okay, drink it. If it's bad, no. I mean, you don't have time for just drink bad coffee in the morning.
Right.
That's my recommendation. Yeah, don't drink bad coffee.
Yeah. I'm gonna send you a bag of roasted coffee. Just don't tear me apart too bad with the reviews.
That sounds good, buddy. Anyway, hey, thank you so much for joining us this morning, Josh. So
Yeah. No.
before letting you go, so what is your plan?
So, like I said, I'm moving to Georgia.
Yep.
One of my biggest things that I want to do is I want to continue building content for education.
Mhm.
I want to put specialty coffee more to the forefront, and I want to interview more people that are top in industry as well as businesses starting out. So my overall, like if I was to go into a 5 to 10 year plan, it would be to still roast. Obviously, I don't care what I'm making off of roasting. I'm just going to keep it because I love roasting. It's a form of meditation for me, and I'm gonna keep doing that as long as I live. Now, as far as the podcast goes, it's going to stay around. I'm going to put out videos every single week, and I'm going to try to interview the best in the industry and just push information and educational content as much as I can.
Okay, so who is your kind of like your dream guest? Who is that person that you're really looking forward to talking to that person? Who is that
If
person?
Right, if I could pick anyone to have on the podcast because they're so
Mhm.
intelligent and they know everything there is to know about equipment, it would probably be Lance Hendricks.
Okay,
Like
so you have like okay,
if I could get him on and pick his brain, that'd be
yeah.
awesome. Um,
And then what about
I,
roaster wise?
what was that?
Comes to roaster.
Roaster. So I already had my dream guest on. As far as I had Steve Green from Mill City Roasters
Okay,
on,
okay, yep, Steve. Okay,
so I had Steve on. As far as like business venture and starting out and roasting the whole nine, the
hmm
guy is just a wealth of knowledge. I was so
yeah.
blessed and lucky to have him on the podcast in the beginning. Um, and if I could have, uh, if I could have anyone from Onyx Coffee on, that would be pretty good for me.
Okay,
I like working
Onyx.
over at Onyx. Yeah, that would be good. Get some individuals over from there, and then honestly, I watch your stuff every single day,
Good.
and I know you've been brewing for a long time, and you do it every single day. You put out content every day, so that I'm blessed to have you on the podcast as well. So honestly, I don't really put like a level on who I can have on the podcast. Anyone can offer me something. I can take
Sure.
from their brain, So, uh, pretty much, I'm going to keep moving in the facet of bringing people on that are starting out in the industry, as well as anyone at the top of the industry that wants to come on.
Wow, that's good. You know what? Just keep it going, okay? Because you have good thing here. The
Right.
coffee is not the most exciting topic out there,
Right.
but we drink every single day.
Right.
But people understands coffee. I mean, it is exciting. It is interesting. You know,
Right.
it's
And I think
interesting.
that's a part of my podcast that the way I formulate my podcast is more of like struggles.
Yep.
So, and most people, and it's a very taxing thing when you first get into coffee because
Oh
you
yeah.
don't information coming from everywhere. So the thing is like individuals like yourself notating the struggles that you went through,
Yep.
uh, how you got through them, trying out different methods, how to be successful. And you say, like, you will make this podcast will make someone feel good, like what you just said. Try everything,
Yep.
taste, etc. So that's kind of the whole point, and the reason it's formulated the way it is.
Sounds good, buddy. Anyway, thank you again for having me and joining us as well. And I wish you the best. Okay.
Awesome. Thanks, Hoon. I'll talk to
See
you
you
soon.
guys. Bye. So
Bye.
that's Josh from Roasters Podcast. I'm gonna big shout out to my friends. I'm Neil for the super sticker, and also Mr. Rainbow for the super chat as well. So again, thanks. Thank you again for supporting this channel over the years. And I'm gonna see you guys next time. Bye, Josh.
Take it easy, Hoon.